Clothing has a purpose to cover and protect us, but fashion is so much more. Fashion is art, the art that we wear, and when executed well, the art that we become. Hello and a warm welcome to your very first lesson of your professional diploma in fashion design with Shaw Academy. I am so excited that you have decided to study with me and explore the interesting world of fashion. I can't wait to share all of my fashion knowledge with you, and I am sure you are going to enjoy this course as much as I've enjoyed stitching it together. I want you to know that the first step is always the biggest one, so take a moment and appreciate what you have just done for yourself. Here at Shaw Academy, our mission is to provide you with higher education at an affordable rate. We understand that not everyone has the opportunity to study at a university and that it is also very expensive. With qualifications presented by experts, we are proud to offer you globally recognized courses to help you master your skills in a practical, interactive, and fun way. We have thus explored the option of studying online to help our students achieve these goals. Our courses consist of 4 modules. Each module has 8 lessons. We will start off with the introduction to fashion design, and that is the basic module in this course. And after you have completed module 1, we will move on to module 2 and so on, getting more challenging and more fun as we progress. After you have completed all of your modules, you will obtain your qualification in fashion design. Are you as excited as me to start your fashion journey? Just so that we are not strangers, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Marley and I will be your fashion design educator. Probably a little bit cheesy, but I have a passion for fashion and I can't wait to share it with you. I have a degree specializing in daywear and a bachelor's of honors focusing on the psychology of fashion. Some fun facts about me: I love to dance, I consider myself a professional dog petter, and I love a good pun. I have experience in designing, pattern making, and lecturing. I have even showed a collection at Fashion Week. Fashion is ever evolving, and sometimes it can be quite overwhelming. But in the words of Tim Gunn from Project Runway, you have to make it work. Another favorite quote that I live by is from the movie The Haunted Mansion, and it goes something like this: you try, you fail. You try, you fail. But the only true failure is when you stop trying. And that is my challenge for you, to never stop trying and to make it work. Now that we are not complete strangers, let's look at our lesson objectives. Our focus for today's lesson will be to understand what fashion design is. We will look at the purpose of fashion and the role of a fashion designer. We will also look at different career opportunities in the fashion industry. I bet you there are more than you think. I will also introduce you to the basics of fashion drawing and illustration. I don't know about you, but when I think of a fashion designer or fashion design, I think of beautifully drawn fashion sketches. So, we are going to start with the fun bit to get the creative juices flowing. Just to let you know, these lessons will only become more practical, so get ready to learn a lot. Since we believe in making our courses as accessible and interactive as possible, we understand and know that you will have a lot of questions during your lessons. I would like you to meet Morpheus, Shaw Academy's very own artificial intelligence bot. Morpheus is here to assist and answer any of your questions, so don't be shy, ask away. Please remember to rate your interaction with Morpheus, as this will help us improve our answers. He will learn from your ratings and become even more intelligent. Remember, you are not the only one in my virtual classroom. I encourage you to interact and engage with your fellow classmates, as it is a great way to learn from each other. If for whatever reason Morpheus or your classmates are not able to assist you with an answer, please send us an email at support@Shaw Academy, and I will make sure that I am not fashionably late with the reply, meaning I will get back to you as soon as possible. You will be able to access your summary notes and webinar slides from your course page under your toolkit. These will come in quite handy for your assignment at the end of this module. After each lesson will be a short and fun quiz. Don't worry, it is not for marks. It is for yourself to test your knowledge. I want to welcome all of you to lesson 1 of fashion design, the fuss about fashion. In this lesson, we will look at defining fashion design just to make sure we are all on the same page. Let's start with a fun practical exercise. I want you to look around and find something fashion related. I bet you did not have to look for too long. Your body is probably covered in fashion from head to toe. Fashion is everywhere, which makes sense because it's something we as humans both need and want. Let's explore the definition of fashion design. Fashion design is a form of art dedicated to the creation of clothing and accessories. It is the art of the application of design to clothing with a variety of influences, including religion, culture, costume, and you, the society. One of the most beautiful aspects of fashion is that it mirrors the habits and tastes of time. We often talk about the language of fashion because it truly is a great form of communication, almost like an open book of past and current times. It also helps us artistically communicate who we are, who we aspire to be, where we are going, and where we have been. So, in short, fashion is the manifestation of human art and communication. Before we get too philosophical about fashion, let's break down the words fashion design a bit more. Now that we know that fashion is the art of creating clothing, what exactly is design? The dictionary's definition of design is the creation of a plan or convention for the construction of an object, a system, or solving a problem. Although the definition is 100% correct and design does mean solution, design has a much deeper meaning. Problem solving and solutions are allowed to be beautiful, and beauty is often considered the secret ingredient in design, making your product go from pure usability to gratifying pleasure. Design is a deliberate set of actions that are meant to provide value to the receiver or the user. It is about giving meaning to something. It is about the experience. So, what happens when fashion and design meet? We create a garment with purpose and great usability that also provides value and pleasure to the wearer. A great example of this relationship between fashion and design is the Humble t-shirt. Fun fact, did you know the fashion sector produces and sells between 80 and 150 billion garments in a year across the globe? Of that, about 2 billion are t-shirts, making t-shirts one of the most popular items of clothing in the world. Are you a big t-shirt fan? Do you know how many you own? Take a look. Maybe t-shirts not only dominate the industry, but your cupboard too. Talking about creating a garment with purpose, what is the purpose of clothing? Fashion has many purposes, but the most important one is to cover and to protect the wearer. When looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it is at the bottom of the triangle and falls under our basic needs, our physiological needs. Apart from needing it to survive, you also need clothing to maneuver in the world, as it is how we present ourselves. But fashion and clothing is so much more than just a covering, right? It is a combination of function and expression. It is a way to craft an identity for ourselves. Fashion and the way we dress is really a way to say who you are without having to speak. What we wear is an expression of who we are and who we want to be. Fashion can be an extension of the self or a way to invent and reinvent yourself. And it is true to make assumptions about who we are based on what they see. For example, if someone has a bohemian style of dressing, it seems that they are more relaxed, free-spirited, and carefree than someone who has a more vintage style. If someone has a more edgy style, it seems that they are more willing to take risks than someone with a classic style or someone who is more preppy. We will explore the deeper purpose of fashion more in the upcoming lessons. Now that we know what fashion design is and the purpose of fashion and clothing, let's briefly explore what the role of a fashion designer is. Fashion designers are responsible for designing and making clothing and accessories, depending on the type of designer that you are, of course. Common responsibilities include observing fashion trends, creating designs, utilizing computer-aided design, interacting with suppliers, textile sourcing, creating prototypes, and for those who don't know, a prototype is the first version of your design that then goes to production, which takes me to the next step, which is the production of your design. Market and sell the design, participating in events and fashion shows, and finding new consumer markets. When we discuss the role and the responsibilities of a designer, did you also wonder how on earth designers do it all? The fashion industry is a very collaborative industry, meaning you can specialize in one area, and once your work is completed, it gets passed to the next person in the design process. It is very, very rare for one person to do it all, unless you are at the beginning stages of owning your own brand. It is worth looking at the different career opportunities in the fashion design industry to help you decide where you belong. First, we have the designer. The designer creates or visualizes an idea and produces a design by hand or using computer-aided design. The buyer will analyze consumer buying patterns and predict future trends, manage stock levels, meet suppliers, and negotiate terms of contract and attend trade fairs. The trend forecaster studies market conditions and consumer behavior to anticipate trends. The textile designer creates two-dimensional designs printed on fabric. The pattern maker produces patterns on either paper or computer for use in the clothing industry. The garment technologist works on the development of the product, improve production efficiency, and the quality of your product. The fashion planner uses cultural trends and demographics to allocate the right stock to the right store. The visual merchandiser ensures that products appear in the right store and on the website, and also plans the catalog, store layout, and windows. The merchandiser works closely with the forecaster and the buyer. The retail manager manages the daily operations of a store and will have employees who report to them. The retail manager also needs to manage and motivate a team to increase sales and ensure efficiency. The stylist produces visually appealing displays, photo shoots, and outfits. The event manager plans and organizes a variety of events, which include promotional, business, and social events. Especially in fashion, events play a huge part in the success of a brand. The fashion journalist will research, attend events, conduct interviews, and write articles about fashion for a variety of publications. After exploring all of the different career opportunities in the fashion industry, which one sounds the best to you? Where do you see yourself and what are you doing? Please pop your answers in the Morpheus bot. I am so curious to see what your dream fashion design job is. As you evolve as a designer, this will probably change. When I started my design career, I wanted to be a wedding dress designer. And look, now I'm a lecturer. It is okay to change your mind and grow. One day you will find your place in the industry and absolutely love it. Before we look at fashion drawing and illustration, it is that time in the lesson where I amp you up about what to expect in lesson 2. Let's just say it begins with mood and ends with bored. The next lesson is all about celebrating inspiration. Fashion inspiration is the outcome of creative research, which is an essential part of the design process. It is all about the sourcing and collection of ideas to inspire the designer to create fresh and amazing pieces of wearable art. As I have said before, when I imagine a fashion designer, I picture someone furiously sketching in a sketchbook. But what is fashion illustration really? Why is sketching so important, and what role does the sketchbook play in design? If you are starting to get serious about drawing and sketching, you may also start to get serious about the materials that you use. Drawing materials are tools with which you make a mark on paper. Let us look at some of the most essential drawing materials to get you started. Let's start with the most important material, which is your sketchbook. It is important to choose one that is durable with many pages. I suggest a hardcover book. This will also provide a firm drawing surface with clean, medium textured paper of a thicker weight than your standard paper suited for a variety of drawing mediums. To trace fashion figures, you need paper like tracing paper that is lightweight, smooth, and transparent enough to be able to see the reference photo well. A good graphite pencil is essential. There are a variety of pencil grades. For example, a hard pencil will leave fine and light lines, and a soft pencil bold and dark marks. A combination of pencils can cover all of your needs as a designer. You should always draw with a sharp pencil, thus sharpen it with a good quality pencil sharpener. Also invest in a good quality eraser to take away anything you want easily. Erasers can also be a great mark making tool. When it comes to colored pencils, quality and type of pencil matters to allow the designer to mix, layer, and build up colors. Oil-based is a designer's favorite. It requires several layers to build up the depth but that allows you to mix and layer colors to produce different shades, textures, and patterns, resulting in fantastic drawings. When drawing with pens, we are forced to master the use of line and develop texture and light. Using a medium that cannot be erased forces a designer to put a bit more thought into design and be more deliberate with their marks. Technical drawing pens, like fine liners, are easy to find and great value for money when they are looked after. Please be aware of the different sizes of the pen tips. I recommend a variety of sizes to create different lines and details in a design. Fashion markers combine well with pencils and ink pens. Most markers have dual tips, so on one side a fine tip and a broad tip at the other side, and this allows the designer to play with line weight, shading, and to avoid streaking. Now that we know what the essential drawing materials are, let's take a look at the basic drawing techniques. Please feel free to grab a paper, any piece of paper, and any mark making tool, and let's experiment with the following techniques. The basic drawing and illustration techniques that we are going to look at today are line, shape, hatching, and blending. Line is the basic drawing technique. The line marks the outline of an object and can also be used to depict contrast. Let's look at some line examples. Here you can see a variety of lines with different weights. Some are more flowy, which is great when you want to show movement or volume in a fashion design sketch, and a line that is broken up. This type of line we use when we want to illustrate stitching details. We use line to create the outline of our sketch, right? A shape is a two-dimensional area created when a line is enclosed. Two-dimensional means that they only have a length and a width. All shapes, all of them, fall into two categories, and these are geometric shapes and organic shapes. Geometric shapes, or regular shapes, generally have a specific name associated with them, like a square or a circle or a triangle. Organic shapes, or free-form shapes, seem to follow no rules and generally do not have a name associated with them. Let's look at the image. Do you think this is an example of geometric shapes or organic? The image is filled with lots of organic shapes. Shapes play an important part in the creation of art and design. So, let's pretend you use line to create an outline of the thing that you want to draw. Now what? Now we can incorporate the hatching technique. Hatching is a classic technique which makes it possible to draw and form the surfaces of a motif or texture. When hatching, the direction of the lines usually run at an oblique angle to the primary outline or your shape. Ideally, these should not be drawn too tightly or smudged as it defeats the point, right? We still want to recognize the individual lines, otherwise they become invisible. Another technique is cross-hatching. It is the same principle, but with two or more sets of hatchings drawn over each other. Curved or contour hatching can be used to modulate shapes. Line strength and width remain the same, and this could be used as a shading effect or to create texture. I usually use this when I want to represent lace or tulle in a sketch. By blending or smudging a hatched area, you can build on the tonal technique. When smudging, a hatched area is blurred with a finger, cotton wool, a cloth, or an eraser. This makes it possible to create a smooth surface and tone gradient. So, in other words, when the hatching is blurred, no single line is visible. Unfortunately, ink or pen cannot be blurred, Only pencils, charcoal, and crayons. Blending and hatching are both types of shading techniques. These different shading techniques can be combined like in this image. What is shading, you ask? Shading refers to the darker values that, when combined with lighter values, adds depth and dimension to your sketch, producing a more realistic piece of art. Some artists believe that a drawing can only come to life if you have used some shading techniques, and I agree. Before we start sketching together, students often ask me the following question. Can I still be a fashion designer even though I can't draw? The short answer is yes. But get ready for the long answer though. Everyone can draw. Some can just draw a little bit better. Don't worry if you are not great at drawing. Don't pack your bags and look for another career. Drawing is not a talent. You can learn how to draw. If you learn the basics and practice, you will improve as you go, and that I can promise you. Also, just like the clothes we wear, the way you draw is an expression of who you are as a designer. There are literally no rules. It is all about having fun and designing the clothes you want to, the way you want to. Are you ready to draw your first Shaw Academy fashion sketch? Fashion drawing and illustration consists out of two main groups, fashion figures and flat sketches. We are going to look at these in more detail a little bit later, but essentially, a fashion sketch is the first step in bringing the design to life. You can almost call it the blueprint for a design. These sketches help communicate your design and all its technical elements, such as length and fit to the viewer, whether it is for yourself, your boss, a pattern maker, or a client. This explains why sketchbooks are so very important to the designer, as it gives an insight to the designer's collection of inspiration, the designer's thought process. It displays idea generation and further development of those ideas. It has also been proven that keeping a sketchbook can boost creativity and help your ideas grow and develop new ones. It also allows you to make connections and juxtapose ideas, and last but not least, it is a great way to sharpen your design, drawing, and illustration skills. Seeing as a designer communicates through designs on paper that eventually turns into clothing, the sketchbook becomes the designer's voice. Today we are going to play with the flat sketch. A flat sketch is a two-dimensional drawing usually used to outline the basic shape of a garment, where a fashion illustration is more detailed and includes color, texture, shading, and movement lines. This sketch will later be used to create a technical drawing of your design. What is a technical drawing, you ask? Well, it is a detailed sketch that shows the pattern maker and the seamstress the shape and all the details of the garment, including the stitch type, seams, and fastenings without any artistic flair or stylization. But to be able to create a technical drawing or a fashion illustration, we first must come up with an idea and create a little sketch, and that is exactly what we are going to do now. The steps are quite simple when drawing a flat sketch. Step 1. Draw the shape of your garment. Step 2. Add the design details like seams or pleats and pockets. Step 3. Finish the sketch by erasing unnecessary lines and add texture and shading if you want. By following these 3 steps, you should be able to successfully communicate your garment to your viewer. Let's go through the steps together. Step 1 is to draw your shape. As you can see, I have drawn the outline of my garment, and it is a mixture between a rectangle and a triangle shape. This is a good example of a geometric shape. And that is exactly what I have done. Step 2, adding detail. As you can see, I've changed the outline of my garment a little bit to make it more of a fashion sketch rather than a simple shape. I have also added a waistband, some pockets, some folds, and I have added some stitch detail. The next step is step 3, which is to finish. And here I've added some hatching details. I have added this where I thought some shading might be. So next to the folds, where the fold is covering some fabric, and also where the pocket is covering some fabric. Last but definitely not least, I use some blending techniques to create shade. As you can see, this looks very different from our simple shape that we drew in the first step. This just shows you that by following a few simple steps, you can really transform a simple sketch into something amazing. Today was your first lesson, and already you have learned quite a lot, like what fashion design is, the different career opportunities, and how to draw a fashion sketch. Remember, the only thing standing in the way of your fashion design career is you. And by taking this course, you are taking control of your future. And for that, you can be so proud. For this lesson's challenge, I want you to use the basic drawing and illustration techniques we have just discussed and draw your first flat sketch. It can be any type of garment, a shirt, skirt, dress, jacket, whatever. Be creative and have fun. The great thing about fashion sketching is that however you are drawing it, that is your style. There are no imperfections and there are no mistakes. I would love to see your sketch, so please remember to share it on your favorite social media platform, the Shaw Academy Fashion Design Facebook group, and on Instagram. And please remember to tag Shaw Academy, and also don't forget to use the hashtag Shaw Fashion Sketch. Let's quickly look at your skill progression before you leave. These are the skills you will learn and master during this course. And even from the first lesson, you've already made some progression for fashion theory, looking at the history and elements of design. Drawing and illustration also shows quite a bit of progression. Design development, pattern making, and garment construction will be introduced to you in the upcoming lessons. So there is a lot to look forward to and a lot of new skills waiting for you. Before you know it, these circle charts will be completely filled in. Remember, all the summary notes and slides are available in your toolkit and would be really worthwhile to keep as a resource at your fingertips beyond this course. But no sneak peeks, designers. The lesson notes will only become available after you have attended your class or caught up with the lessons. These will also help you prepare for your first assignment. Remember, you can always change your class date and time so that it is convenient for you. And should you feel the need, you can always restart the course, or you can watch a lesson to reference back to at any time. Congratulations, guys! We are officially done with our very first lesson of Module 1 in Fashion Design. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm looking forward to having you all back in my virtual classroom for Lesson 2, Inspiration Celebration. Until then, as always, stay fashionable.